My name's Allison Smithwick. I work here at Region 10 and am on the TeacsBank team. My teammate Justin Clark is here this morning also, and he's going to be monitoring chat and chiming in if I misspeak or miss something. He's our technical consultant and knows a few of the details that I may tend to overlook. So Justin is also here. We are going to get started. Our agenda is pretty brief. And if you've been to our webinars before, you know they tend to be pretty brief. We will post the recording on YouTube as well as send it out to all of the registrants. And so you are welcome to share that. Also, we have this bit.ly that will help you access the slide deck if you want to send that out to teachers or just refer to it later. All right, let me make sure I've got everybody. Okay. If at any time you have a question, we're a small group, so unmute and ask or write it in the chat. This is pretty informal, and if you joined live, it might be because you have a question, and so we're ready for you if you want to talk about something. Our agenda today is just a brief introduction to TeacsBank Classroom. We're going to go over our model for technical support and reporting items, our review process when items are reported, and then talk about a few new features and content updates. We are sending a team to TAC, and so I will give you a preview of what that will look like in case any of you will be there. All right. If you're here, you're probably already familiar with TeacsBank Classroom, but if not, it's important that you know that this is an assessment application inside of your LMS. So you are able to access the TeacsBank items inside your LMS, such as Google Classroom, Schoology, or Canvas. And so it is an ideal tool for formative assessment and classroom teachers. We love our DMSs, Aware and Edugents and such, but this tool is going to be the quick and easy way for your teachers to put together an assessment. And we're thinking, 5 or 6 questions as an exit ticket or a quiz, something that can be done in class, and it will give kids immediate feedback and gather the data in a really visual, intuitive way for teachers. So we love it because it's quick and easy for formative assessment. All right, we are going to talk a little bit about technical support. So if you are within the tool and you are just getting started, or you have been a user but things have changed, or you're trying to do something new, we would love for you to reach out to us at our email, datasolutions@region10.org, and or call our help desk. And if you've called before, you know that it's typically Jennifer and Patrick that answer, and occasionally they will pass the call to Justin. But they are very, very knowledgeable and can help answer your questions if you'd like to speak to a person. Email is always a great way for us to make sure we can follow up with you directly. So note that email if you can. It's also all over our websites. And so you're welcome to use either of those. If you're inside TeacsBank Classroom and you are wondering about some how-tos, such as how do you share a test that you've created with a colleague, you remembered that we mentioned that, but you hadn't done it before, or you know that we've got this new feature of modifying student scores, but you can't remember exactly how to do that, reach out to Justin by one of those 2 methods. And he is very patient and kind and can walk you through and support with any of those how-to type questions. We can also direct you to our FAQs and our help documents on our website. I didn't link them here, but we're at teacsbankclassroom.com, where we've got some support materials there. We have some new users that occasionally encounter registration issues. So this is the first time use you're getting in there and registering for an account, adding your email. And sometimes you've got a choice between different workspaces, which can be a little bit confusing. So if you or your teachers are getting into TeachSpank Classroom for the first time after you've been onboarded, you're registering for accounts and you're bumping into issues, reach out to us and we can usually help you resolve those in just a few minutes. Same with error messages. Very rarely, but it is possible that you would get an error message, whether it's something on your end or ours. If you come across some mysterious message that's blocking you from moving forward, we can help you walk through that as well. So any time of day, we're here, all during the workday, ready to support through those kinds of things. Justin, is there anything specific that you wanted to mention at this point?
No, you did a great job.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
thanks. All right, just know that he's here for you and can walk you through those pieces.
absolutely.
All right. All right. Occasionally, you will come across an item in TeachSpank Classroom that has a mistake or is not functioning the way that you expect it to function, and you would like to report that to us. So I've kind of got this video on loop here, and I also have it enlarged at the end of the slideshow because I know it's very tiny here. But what this is showing you is that if you are in the midst of building an activity, you're previewing your questions, you're making sure that they are meeting the needs of you and your kids, and you come across something you want us to know about. Um, Go into that student preview screen. You can see I'm clicking on the top left corner, and there's a thumbs down button. And so when you click that thumbs down button, it's going to bring up this checklist and give you an opportunity to send us feedback. Again, it's going very quickly, but the types of items or types of problems might be that it's difficult to use, that an incorrect answer is marked. Uh, if you ever come across something you feel is not aligned to a standard or is factually inaccurate, we want to know. And typically we can resolve those very, very quickly. So we ask that you go ahead and use that thumbs down button in the student preview within the tool. Although it's called student preview, students don't see it. You're just having the opportunity to look at what students see with that one additional button of thumbs down as an opportunity to report an item. Now, occasionally you will have already pushed out an activity to students, and in the grading of it, you discover a question that you would like to report to us, whether it's one of those issues I've mentioned or something else. You have the opportunity, even once it is published and pushed out to students. And if you can see in this very quick loop, the way that you would do that is click those top three buttons in the top right, click preview activity, toggle to the question you want to report, and again, do that thumbs down button. That same form comes up and allows you to report. Be as specific as you can for us in the comments so that we know exactly how to respond. And then we can also, this is going to be tagged to your email, so we can follow up with you by email, get some clarification, make sure we get that resolved. The beautiful thing about TeachSpank Classroom is that our changes are live or um, happen within moments. And so if we are able to get in there and make a change based on your feedback, you typically see that in just moments. That's a little bit different than TeachSpank within Aware or Edugence because those items are uploaded periodically. But in TeachSpank Classroom, our changes happen very, very quickly. And so we like to be very responsive to you and anything that you may come across. With almost 100,000 items in the bank, there are still things in there that we would like to improve. So we appreciate your help with that. Here's that form. It's a little bit bigger. So if the item is difficult to use, scoring is incorrect, spelling or grammar issues, and again, if it's factually inaccurate, incorrect standards, and cultural bias. If you come across something, some of our items are really old, quite a few years old. And so we are catching things that we want to remove or improve. And so that is why that category is on there. All right. Any questions thus far on reporting items? Okay. All right, our process once an item is reported to us is that our help desk and or Justin will forward that item to one of the consultants that to review for content. So there are three of us that work specifically on content within TeacsBank items, and we are kind of broken into grade bands for responsibility of items. And so we review your feedback compared to the standards, all of our resources that we can trust, determine if that item does need to be adjusted or corrected, or if actually it's okay the way that it stands. And we will email you directly with a response on what we've chosen to do and why. And sometimes we'll say, we'll ask some additional questions for some clarification. So it turns into a conversation. Again, we do our very best to be thorough, but we are always open to hearing from you because you guys are out there in the field and sometimes are aware of some things that we are not. So this is our process. It's usually pretty simple and quick, and you will get an email from a consultant about how that item report has been resolved. All right, we have a few new features. Many people have been waiting for the opportunity to print activities within TeacsBank Classroom, and we know that's desirable for a number of reasons. You have a student that is not able to access their device for one reason or another, or maybe you want to provide some supports. Math teachers often say they want to print so that their students have room to show their work or to do some redos. And so finally, we have that feature to share with you. And I'm going to show you how to do that within the tool in just a moment. We also can modify scores within the tool now. And so if you come across an item that you identify as a bad item or need to change a student's score for one reason or another, you now have the capability to do that. And name randomization. So again, I'll go into the tool and show this to you, but in that data report that teachers get, typically the students have been listed alphabetically below with their scores. You've been able to anonymize, turn those names off so that you could do a class data talk. But kids are smart and they know that, the letter A is always number one. And so we didn't really feel like we were protecting the identity of the students. And so now those lists are randomized. So let me get in there and show you these three features. Okay. All right, so I am in the data dashboard of TeacsBank Classroom. First, I'm going to show you how and where to print because that might be what people are most excited about. So I'll go to an existing activity and click into it. I can do it whether it's complete or in progress. And the button is here, right at the top of the data page. Let me go back to one that's actually got some items in it. Okay. And when I click print activity, a box is going to come up that is going to kind of give you a heads up that this is an early preview of an in development feature. It doesn't work perfectly yet. As you know, not every item is printable in the sense that some of our tech enhanced items don't work great with printing, but we are able to support quite a few. You are able to change your font. If you would like it to look friendlier for your younger kiddos, you can choose this Comic New font. You have a few choices there. You can choose if you want this to print in a dual column layout or a single column layout, in which case, it would be the width of the page. And it kind of is going to depend on the content of your activity as to what suits you best. We're going to, in this case, print the assessment and print the answer key so that you can take a look at that. And let's see, this is going to download as a PDF. So here I'm going to download the assessment. Goes into my downloads screen. Okay, and this one happened to have a passage. Here's what the printed activity looks like. So you can see that the selectable text looks a little bit different, but does print. And this is another passage. And because it's for the younger kiddos, we've got a lot of images attached to it. Right, and then we get down to our next items. Okay. So not every item on this assessment printed because they weren't all compatible with printing, but this gives you a little bit of an idea of how the PDF will generate. Let me go back here to Exam Spark, and I'm going to show you what the answer key looks like. Okay, so your answer key will look like this. It will have the question title and the answers and the correlated standards. Also, your item numbers. Sometimes that's handy to know if you're going to go back and rebuild an activity. Okay, so these are going to vary a lot. And again, I chose a first grade item. And so the passage looks different, and the item types look different, but it is pretty simple to use in terms of generating your PDF and getting that downloaded and ready for kids. Any questions about printing? There we go. So as I was saying, multiple choice, you can predict exactly what that's going to look like. And then some of those other item types print pretty nicely. Best practice for printing, though, is to go through and preview and compare because it may change the number of items on the overall assessment. And so depending on the reason for printing, you may need to adjust your scoring or just keep in mind that the students you are printing for may only have 4 or 5 items that they're working with, whereas the other kids may have 5 or 6. So it is something that is definitely a nice feature to have, but it is not a direct translation onto paper. Was modifying scores. All right, and this is where Justin might need to drop in and help me, but let's take a look and see if I can do it here. So I've just changed to a different activity. Okay, one example of a time that you might want to modify scores is if when you are reviewing your data, you see that one particular item has very low performance data. And so in this case, number 5 looks like nobody got it right. One kiddo got 1 point. And so I'd probably want to take a look at that and see what's happening. Is that a deficit in my instruction or, a place I need to go reteach, or was there a problem with that item that I may need to go back and make an adjustment for? So I'm going to click here. Only 17% of the group got that correct. Okay. And sorry, I'm moving my Zoom controls. So I take a look at the item and let's just imagine that we identify a problem. Something that we don't agree with or would like to score our kids differently. So I can take a look at how each student did. Student 1 got 0 out of 2. This is how they answered. In the case that I want to give them partial credit or they should have been awarded credit, I can do it here. Okay. And then it's going to go back and recalculate on that initial page. Again, I don't know that this was necessarily a problem. I just want to show you as an example how you can do that. And then I can toggle to the next student. And if I need to make a change, I can do that here. So this is new. We haven't been able to do that. We've just accepted the scores as they were given by the program. And then once we go back to take a look at the data, you can see it says submitting scores and it is adjusting here. So I brought up my percentage a little bit by making those changes. So it's a nice feature and sometimes necessary to go in and award partial credit, or if you didn't catch a mistake in an item, this is a way that you can make that adjustment. Did I miss anything, Justin, on that feature?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Our final new feature, name randomization. So I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. In this case, our names are anonymized. This is an older activity, so I'm going to guess. Yeah, see, they're showing in alphabetical order based on first name here. So my older activities are going to stay that way, but activities that I build now, when I get ready to do that class data talk with the kids, I can turn off the names, put this up on the board, talk about trends in our data, talk to them about misconceptions, talk to them about their strengths. In this case, this was a really strong showing. And like I said, with future activities, these are going to be randomized. So student one is not always going to be the A name like it is here. So that's just a little piece that kind of changes the game. I'm sure you've all worked with kiddos who have figured out that order and they know exactly whose scores they're looking at. So we wanted to protect their confidentiality there and make that really safe to do a data talk and let them look at what's happening across the class in terms of their performance and progress. All right, I'm going to go back to my slide deck here. All right, a few content updates. We want you to know that we are primarily focusing on constructed response items and Spanish translations this fall and actually probably well into the spring. We have contracted with some bilingual educators, native Spanish speakers, experts in SLAR, Spanish language arts, and so they are helping us to translate our English items as well as math, science, social studies. And it's a slow process, as you know, because they're reviewing our existing items, determining whether or not they're appropriate for translation or transadaptation, doing that work for us. Then we update the art, any captions and such that were in English, anything in the table that was in English, we've got to get all of those in Spanish. So it's a lengthy process, but we're committed to it. And so that is one of our primary focuses this fall and probably well into the spring. And in addition, as you're well aware, constructed response is definitely an area of emphasis for all of us. And so we are strengthening the items that we have in the bank. We're creating new. And so we can really support you guys with helping students practice with these and then be assessed with constructed response items. We are working, just as I'm sure you still are, on the science realignment pieces. Over the summer, we did that initial realignment, but now we're going back in and we're verifying, we're correcting and removing any items that no longer fit. We also are creating some new items for any new standards that were added or if we've identified any gaps. And so those are really our focus areas. We've always got other things going on, of course, but that's where we are committing most of our time and focus right now. Okay, and like I said, a big part of our team is going to TAC next week. We have a theme that you may recognize there, and so we're excited. Stop by our booth if you're there and in Central Perk and have some coffee and talk with our team about all of our products. So we've got our TeaxBank products. We have TeaxBank Classroom, Teaks Ready. We now have Cody and Kathy who support Qualtrics. Penny supports Axiom as well as Eduphoria and Aware. And then Jennifer and Michelle are going to be talking about, off the top of my head, I want to say it's MTSS. No, TELPAS, prepping for TELPAS. So we've got a lot of sessions to present, but they will also be in the booth with some printed materials and be there to answer your questions about our additional tools and products that we support with our team here, Data Solutions at Region 10. All right, we're only about 25 minutes in, so that's my commitment to use to keep the webinars brief. I've got a couple more scheduled. Those of you who are here, I'm interested in what you think in the 9 a.m. timing versus what we used to do at 4 p.m. If you can share any feedback with me on that, I appreciate it. I just initially was doing 4 p.m. hoping that that was easier for teachers. But teachers typically want the recording to watch on their own time. And so we decided to go live earlier in the day, be available for questions if you have any, but then also provide that recording later. So we have a January and an April. Those are linked in the slideshow, and I also will link them in the email that I send out as a follow-up. All right, here's our team. We've grown a little bit, maybe since last time I did a webinar. We've added a couple consultants. Like I said, we kind of divide and conquer to support TeacsBank. And any of us are willing and able to support you and answer any questions. And there is our very important help desk number. So give us a call anytime that you are working with TeacsBank Classroom, TeacsBank, any of our products, we can get your questions answered. Justin, any other things that you wanted to mention?
No, you've hit it all.
Oh, yay me.
Great job.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any of you that are on the call, did you come with questions or anything that you wanted to discuss before we end? Quiet group. Okay. Well, I will wrap it up then so that you can get back to your day. I appreciate you joining us this morning. And like I said, once I get this recording finalized, I will send it out to everybody, as well as the bit.ly link to the slide deck. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye-bye.